We want to say that God has been faithful and this far we've come. So today, it's all about making resolutions. And I keep wondering, when people make resolutions and give them a week or give them just maybe 2 days, and such resolutions that they must have made in saying, no, I won't drink again in the year. No, okay, even if I drink, I will take beer, I won't take spirit. Or some will say, no, I won't take beer, I will take spirit. Or some will tell you, no, I will not beat my wife again, for the women beaters, you know. But some will say, no, okay, I think I will be restricted to being more disciplined. And of course, I will do more to understand the virtues and technicalities to say that I will relate well with my colleagues. You know, resolutions, a lot of resolutions in line with how you feel or what you think. You know, individual differences comes into play in all of these equations. But then my guest here today, a very young, energetic, resourceful personality, and we'll be looking at this with us. You know, when you know, is one Soros okay in saying, you know, the youths want Soros, okay, they speak up now, all right? So maybe my guests will look at it from that perspective of their own realm to say that, look, what is trending now is this, and maybe he will give us more understanding as to possibility of keeping it right, or the dynamics of saying things will take its natural course, whichever way, but my guest will give us more. So let's just say big welcome to Mr. Tosin Imogeme. I want to say a very big thank you, my brother. Yes. He's a motivational speaker. And when we have people like them, when I see young men like them, I'm always happy because they need to be encouraged. You need to give them support. You need to create opportunities for them. You also need to give them every necessary attention to deserve so that they can be seen, they can be heard. And that is why my guest here today, Tosin Imogeme, as my guest, will be able to take us through all of this. So I want to appreciate that you have the courage to say this. We can do it together.
Yes, of course we can.
Tosin, in just 15 minutes, okay, because of the other guest, resolutions come. We find out that somehow, some way, along the line, I don't know how, but somehow, some way, under 1 day, 2 days, such resolutions are just oblivion of the reality of what we see.
Yeah.
In your own understanding, how realistic is it when we talk about resolutions?
Yes, at every point in time in our lives, we need to make decisions. Let me call them decisions.
Not resolutions.
Not resolutions. Because when you say resolutions, people use the word resolution when it's a new year. But the truth is, you don't need to wait for a new year to make critical decisions in your life. When it matters...
I feel your narrative.
Yeah, so for example, you drink and it's beginning to affect your health. Are you going to wait till it's New Year, to the next... Okay, let's assume it's just a New Year now, this 2021.
Today's 4th?
Yeah, today's 4th. And then you say, oh, okay, I'm going to stop drinking in 2022.
No, in 2021.
No.
This is 2021.
No, what I mean is, people wait until a new year.
Okay, you wait till 2022. Yeah, okay, I won't drink again.
That's the idea when you call it a resolution.
That's right.
But when a decision matters to you, you take it at any point in time. Now the challenge with people when they make decisions or when they make resolutions and they don't keep to it is, number one, sometimes those resolutions do not align with their lives or do not align with their values. And when it doesn't align with your values, you see along the line that you drift away. But much more important, or most importantly, is the fact that habits are difficult to do away with. Because
habits,
yes,
are difficult. Let's just hold it there. I like that phrase. Habits are difficult to do away with. Let's leave it there.
Okay.
Let's just quickly take this report
okay.
together. We'll listen to that and let's see how that which you've just said, that phrase, habits, are difficult to do away with, and what that report will say. Let's see how we synergize that. We come back from there. Don't forget, habits are difficult to do away with. We'll be back after this report.
Every Every new year, people set out to better themselves by setting certain goals they hope to achieve in the new year. Research shows that about 50% make New Year resolutions, but only a few keep them for a while. For many, year 2020 was a difficult and highly challenging year due to changes, uncertainty, pandemic, stress, and hardship related to COVID-19.
It's a tough year that you see during the time of COVID-19, you see many people on the streets who are not supposed to be begging for their daily bread.
2020 is a bad year because Corona spoiled our market.
For some, it is difficult to prioritize and make New Year resolutions.
We envision a better 2021. We pray that our dreams come to pass. Individually, we have personal dreams. As a company, we want a fruitful harvest for 2021. As a nation, we want a peaceful coexistence of humans.
2021, with my faith, we are going to have money, surplus money.
Year 2021 is going to be a change.
Meeting new goals usually requires creating new habits and breaking old ones. And old habits are hard to let go. Many people may still cling to their old, familiar and comfortable habits in an attempt to maintain some degree of stability in these uncertain times. Keeping New Year resolutions requires one to consistently keep the changes made, at least until the old habits becomes embedded in the memory.
Well, that's just there was that report on the New Year resolution, and of course, you had different views, different opinions as to what that is and how people, fail to really keep to it in the long run, or how much we want to look at how that work with the dynamics of what we're saying. But my guest here again is Mr. Tosin Mogeme. He's a motivational speaker. He's a youth. One sort of can say, and together we are looking at this issue. But he said something here, and I think I bought his narrative. He said, look, it is all about decision making. It's not about a resolution. Now, will you wait for another year to come when you take a resolution? But it is how you are able to take a decision that really matters. But he ended by saying before the break that habits are difficult to do away with. That was where you killed out.
Yes.
So with what you had, with what we're saying, is there a synergy?
Yes, of course there is. It's always imperative at every point in time to make decisions to change your life for the better. However, the way we're designed as human beings, we have a brain, we have a system. The brain is a system, I often tell people. It's a system because there are ways, the principles you use to manage it. Now, for example, when you're born with a clean slate mind. Now,
when you're born
with a clean slate mind.
Oh,
the mind is empty.
Clean mind, holy mind.
Yeah.
Before it's polluted.
Exactly. So, when you take an action, let me give you a scenario. You take an action, an analogy. You take an action, a pathway is created in your brain. If, for example, let me give you a scenario, maybe you go to the bush and you're trying to make a pathway, and then you start to cut. You cut the first cut, or the first, where you begin in that pursuit, it's always quite slim. But the longer you continue, you begin to create that pathway such that it becomes very easy for you to now, go or do whatever you want to do in that bush. That's the way it is. So the brain works with repetition. The more you indulge in an action, the more you do take an action, it becomes registered in the subconscious mind. Now, when the moment the subconscious mind takes it, you don't need to think about the action. It works naturally. It works on its own. It's just like driving. When you're learning how to drive, you have to look at the throttle, you have to look at the side mirrors, everything. But along the line,
you have to be at alert.
Yeah, you have to be at alert. But along the line, as you continue to repeat that process or those steps, you see that you begin to even drive now, and you talk while driving. You do a lot of things while, even some people multitask while driving, which is bad. But that's to show you that the brain has actually, you know, stored those information, and now the moment the subconscious mind takes it, it works by default. So when people, when people take action, so when people indulge in certain habits, it becomes so built that you can't automatically just say, I'm not interested in this thing again, I want to stop. You also need to go through a process.
What kind of process?
You need to go through a process. You cannot instantly delete that information, because the truth is, everything you've done or every action, for example, Ben Carson says the brain has 14 billion cells. What it means is that your brain has the capacity to remember everything, or to store and remember everything from Genesis, from the beginning of time till now. In all ramifications, all aspects of life, your brain is that robust. Now, your brain remembers everything. Everything, even the day you were born.
So what process will it be like? Is it a mindset that needs to be tailored to gradually, or very tactically, or very
I like the word tactically.
You like the word tactically. To really engage in that decision making of yours at the time now, or it's not what you can just suddenly.
It doesn't happen overnight. No, it doesn't happen overnight. It also takes a process. It doesn't happen overnight because it's been stored in the subconscious mind. So you don't control yourself at that point in time. Your brain controls you. So, you know, for example, there are people who have bad habits. They chew their fingers, and they don't even know when they do it. That's because they've done it for a period of time, to the point where the brain has taken it, and they now do it unconsciously. So when you make resolutions, and you want to also stop those things you've been addicted to, you need to go through a process. And it starts with if you've made that decision, you also start with, you continue with the awareness, the consciousness that this thing, I mustn't do it. So whenever you are pushed, you need to now look for distractions. You need to look for distractions. If, for example, you say that you want to drink, there's a reason you drink. You derive pleasure from drinking. What are the other things you can substitute that drinking for, that you also derive pleasure from? There's the concept of visuals. You know, for example, you have a goal. I have a goal of losing weight this year. And I have I have a frame in my room of
you're losing weight. I don't see anything here. Okay.
Yeah. So I have a visual of the figure I want.
You want to be.
So every time I see it, there's something. The power of visualization. There's a way it registers in my mind, and then every moment I see it, I know I need to do this. I want to stop taking soft drinks. I want to stop taking certain things. It's not easy because I've done it for a period of time, and I've taught my system. To see these things as pleasure. So the body, when you're trying to get away from pleasure, it becomes difficult. What makes it easy is when you get in that situation when it becomes you become faced with a life-threatening situation. If, for example, you are told that you have cancer, and if you don't stop drinking in 1 week, you're going to die. You see such person, they pull out the motivation from nowhere, and that's where the willpower comes in. You know, you exact that willpower, and every time you remember that your life is at stake, of course, that's enough motivation. So the pain of dying becomes greater than the pain, or the thinking of dying. I use the word the pain because the pain of dying becomes greater than the pain of living that habit, because it's painful to live a habit you're addicted to. But when you have a greater pain that is staring you in the face,
but if it has to do with a resolution or a decision, let's look at the
it's still
the word.
Yeah, it's
to say that it is to better your lot.
Yes.
Don't you think even without a life-threatening situation,
of course,
one cannot take such decisions?
Yeah, that's why I said it takes a process. I've mentioned the fact that you need to have.
I agree, but I'm saying that if a life-threatening situation could compel by that default to say that, look, it's either you immediately. I still believe that with a very disciplined mind,
of course,
a very conscious mind using your word,
yes,
and a very, very committed act to say that,
attitude.
Attitude to it, to say, look, it's because it's a decision and I don't want to fail.
Yes.
It's possible.
Yes.
Are you doubting that?
No, of course, it's very possible. There are people who make decisions and they're able to exact their willpower, and that's where the willpower, when you tell yourself you're not going to do this again, and there are times you make mistakes, but you tell yourself, oh, this is a mistake, I'm not going to repeat this again. So but you need to make strategies. Yes, you need to take strategies. If, for example, you want to stop drinking, then there are certain friends that you drink with. You need to stop working with them. You need to begin to avoid them. You need to. It's a decision you want to make.
But I'm thinking that no matter what, for example, when you fast.
Yes.
When you fast in the midst of plenty.
Yes.
You deny yourself.
Yeah.
I think such fast is more, acceptable unto God than when you don't have anything. You are fasting. So circumstances is making you to, is compelling you to do. Then that is not fasting. But when in the midst of, you have it, what you can take. But you said, no, I don't want to take all of this.
Yes.
I have everything with me, but for the Lord, I said, no, I want to do this for a week.
But that is quite different in the sense that
what makes it different? It's just a decision process.
Yeah, it's a decision.
That's your word.
Now, in
2 minutes so that we can go, I'll leave you with a submission.
Okay, there's a thin line between what you said and what I'm trying to say. The fact that, yes, you're in the midst of plenty does not mean that you go to your kitchen and perhaps you go where they are cooking, because you become controlled by your mindset. Now, you have a sense of smell. If, for example, they are baking, you just see yourself saying, I feel like eating bread. That's not you. You already made a decision prior to that time. But because your sense, of course. No, now let me give you a scenario. Imagine you're watching a movie, a horror movie, and then you begin to get scared. You know that this is a stage play. But why do you get scared? Because your subconscious mind,
the psyche of your mind.
Yes, your subconscious mind cannot differentiate between imagination and reality. So you need to be strategic with your mind, so you don't put yourself in situations that you get tempted, because the body is weak but the spirit is willing but the body is weak. So when you get, maybe for example, you go to a party or you go to places where you know that you get tempted, you need to avoid those places. That's being disciplined and placing strategies that will ensure that you achieve your goal till you get to the point where you know that you can now do this even in the midst of plenty. I can fast.
All right, I wanted to give your parting words. What will be your submission in it all, looking at all what you will have said, because we must have another guest now. In it all, what submission will you make out of all the knowledge you have in there to speak on, but just in 1, 2 words, how do we manage this?
I would still paraphrase and use the word habits.
I want you to look at the camera.
Okay, yeah. Now, bad habits are easy to build, but they become hard to live with. But good habits are hard to build, but they become easy to live with. And when you do what is easy, your life becomes hard. But when you do what is hard, your life becomes easy. Discipline is difficult. Prevention is difficult. But these are the things that makes one's life become easy and profitable. Thank you very much.
You're fantastic. You promised to give me another time out with you.
Of course.
Again. Soon again.
Of course.
I thank you so very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Well, that's just it now with our first guest. We're looking at resolution making, and of course, he said something that I love here. Resolution could be it's just a decision-taking process, and whichever way we want to look at that is just fine. But another way, again, we'll have him to come back with a submission. It's possible, it's doable, and we can actually make these things come true. So we'll take a quick break here. I will be looking at expectations for 2021.